Alright, what's up guys, it's Greg here today bringing a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 gameplay commentary. You'll be watching a double MGB on the map Zarqwa Hydroelectric in some 10 vs 10 domination. In this gameplay I am using the MP7, also known as the Vel 46. This gun is very good and I'm going to go over an example class setup today because I want to teach you guys how to become better SMG players. SMGs are designed to be a run and gun tool and you can play absolutely aggressive and just push your enemies back, play some power positions, and keep your enemies locked in their spawn. And if you do this, you'll be a great SMG player, helping assist your rifle players on your team and whatever else is going on. SMGs are also great tools for clearing out objectives and rooms, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into how you guys can become a better SMG player. Alright, so our first order of business is movement, and starting off we have the bunny hop. This is one of the simplest movement techniques you can do. All you have to do is get a running start with a tactical sprint, then you press the jump button. Once you land, you press the jump button again, and you'll get a little boost. Slides are very useful, and you want to try to learn the momentum of a slide so that way you peak as soon as you come around a corner. This is going to throw off your opponent and it's going to give you a significant advantage in the fight. Snaking has been a controversial tactic this year because it is so powerful. It has been heavily used in pro play this year and it is for a good reason. Snaking is broken because your head just appears and disappears over and over again, almost like you're just disappearing into thin air. This is absolutely broken, especially if someone is hard aiming a piece of cover that you are on. If you snake, you'll be able to evade their bullets and absolutely beam them at the time you appear. Pruning cover is a very simple trick that can actually save your life whenever you're trying to cut off angles and take on multiple enemies at a time. Pruning cover, all you have to do is just go prone next to a wall, and that way you can cut off some lines of sight and you can try to wiggle your way around into getting some easy picks. Now I also want to make mention that some attachments can actually modify your tac sprint, which can give you a better bunny hop. And what you want to be looking out for whenever you are building your class is attachments that might say plus sprint speed. Now of course in InfinityWard fashion they don't like to tell us what every single attachment does, so there are some attachments that actually do this but it doesn't state it. The only way you would know is if you use the website sim.gg, link in the description below, and you can build your gun with detailed stats. But if you do opt for an attachment with this, you'll get a longer bunny hop, and what I mean by this is you will have much more distance covered by it, which can allow you to really throw off your enemies and give them a hard time tracking you. Another great option is the double time perk. This perk will help double the duration of your tactical sprint, which can help you get to places much faster, especially if you put it in combination with a knife or a movement build on an SMG. And on top of that, you also get a little bonus of some improved crouch movement speed, which if you do have an attachment that increases your crouch speed, which the stock I just went over does, you'll actually get a pretty fast crouch movement speed. I would say almost as fast as regular movement speed. Have you ever heard the saying, a wise man knows his limits? Well, it kind of applies here because SMGs have limited range. Whenever you're using an SMG, you are not going to be killing people across the map with ease. I'm not saying you shouldn't aim at people across the map, but you have to have a lot of confidence in your abilities, and you also have to have some skills in order to be able to hit those shots at longer range. Now, of course, building your SMG for recoil control will help you hit your shots at longer ranges, but you have to remember that your actual damage range is not going to be that of an assault rifle. If you're wanting to kill people at longer ranges, you should opt for an assault rifle, or maybe an assault rifle that acts like an SMG, rather than just using an SMG. However, I am still telling you guys it is okay to challenge yourself and try to hit people at longer ranges, because that's how you're going to improve, and it's going to give you finer recoil control and all that kind of stuff as you practice. Now I want to take a look at a map example here, which is our match that we're playing, Zarqwa Hydroelectric Domination. So as you can see, the C, B, and A flag layout, and then on top of that, in these red boxes, that is where the enemies or your teammates will be spawning. Okay, these are the set spawns for Zarqwa Hydroelectric Domination. Now, in extreme cases, they might not spawn here, but for 99 out of 100 times, this is the way the match is going to flow, and it's going to keep rotating between these spawns depending on where your teammates, the enemies, and all that's located. Now, I have put these orange circles around the map where I believe you are in your best interest to be using an SMG, and where you are going to find the most success with an SMG. The reason I have these little circles around here is it's just to give you guys an example of where SMGs tend to be the strongest. So this is going to be close quarters where you're always within about 10 to 15 meters of where the max range will be for an enemy to be. And the reason this is important is so that way you're doing max damage, and also if they're using something like an assault rifle or an LMG, they're going to struggle in a gunfight against you. If you linger around these areas, you will find a lot of success while using an SMG. And to put this into perspective, we'll look at the firing range. This first dummy is 10 meters away, the second one is 25 meters away, and the third one is 50 meters away. And you guys notice how I'm doing less and less damage over far ranges. This is to balance out the SMGs, so obviously they aren't stronger than other weapons at the intended ranges. Now I want to talk about some perks, because perks are going to complement the SMG playstyle in a very important way. This is going to help you out whenever you're going around the map or just in a position and trying to fortify it. So let's go ahead and talk about some perk packages that I have designed that will help you guys out depending on what you are trying to do with an SMG. First up, we have our all-out aggressive rusher build. This is going to be double time, bomb squad, fast hands, and quick fix. The reason I chose these perks is because double time is going to give us the fastest movement speed around the map. Having a double tack sprint as well as increased crouch movement speed can be very useful. Having bomb squad will mean any equipment that is thrown us, such as nades or running into claymores, anything of that nature is going to allow us to have some resistance and survive those. Having fast hands allows us to reload as fast as possible, as well as place equipment, use equipment, and swap weapons. And then on top of that, we have quick fix, so that way after every single kill we get, or while we are on objectives, we will instantly regenerate our health. Next up, we have the Decision Maker perk package. This is for someone who plays a little bit smarter and wants to really calculate what they're doing. So I have double time and bomb squad yet again for the same reasons as before, but since we're going to be playing a little bit slower and maybe playing some more angles and buildings or whatever it may be, there's no need for fast hands. So let's go ahead and put hardline on so that way we can earn our streaks a little bit easier to help us out in whatever scenario we're in. And on top of that, I also have the bird's eye perk on so that way you can see more on your radar and make better decisions based off of any UAVs or advanced UAVs that are being called in. And finally, we have our last perk package, which is the flanker perk package. This one is going to replace bomb squad with tracker so that way we can see enemy footprints but also hide their death icons whenever we kill enemies. That way their teammates, if they're playing solo and whatnot, they'll have a harder time of figuring out where you're at. Now combine this perk package with a suppressor and you'll even be stealthier yet, which is what I highly recommend doing. As for our second perk, we're going to be using Spotter, so that way we can see claymores and proximity mines around the map, since we are not utilizing the Bomb Squad perk. That way we won't be caught off guard by them and we can continue to flank with ease. You can also hack them as an added benefit, so that way you can use them against the enemy team. And finally, the Ghost perk is going to be the most important perk of this perk package, and that's because it's going to keep us off enemy UAVs and give us some resistance to the advanced UAV. Alright, so let's talk about our actual SMG build here. So first things first, there's a few pointers I'd like to make out. This is my Vel 46. I'm a rifle player by heart. So I'm not really looking for the fastest SMG possible. I tend to play more like a rifle player even with an SMG, but at the same time I still do keep some speed in mind. So for me, I opt for some recoil control that doesn't hurt the speed of the gun too much, and then I also add attachments that are going to help out with speed. So personally, I would evaluate the way you play the game. Are you someone who plays extremely aggressive and just non-stop moving? Or are you somebody who plays a little bit more methodical? You know, maybe you don't just run around all the time, maybe you do post up a little bit here and there. I'm going to tell you guys right now that you should kit out your gun depending on that. And also, keep in mind, how far away do you want to use your SMG? If you want to use your SMG at farther ranges, consider adding a barrel that's going to increase the range. Consider adding some attachments that's going to reduce the recoil. If you're somebody who wants to play extremely aggressive, consider taking on attachments that are going to increase your handling, but maybe hurt your overall recoil control and bullet velocity. There's a lot of decisions you have to make whenever it comes to making a class, so what I recommend is really evaluating the way that you play the game, and then make those decisions based off the way you think it's going to fit you best. Again, me personally, I like to use something that is going to have nice recoil control, not be too slow, but also have some nice reach as well. I like a nice balanced build. When kitting out your class, you should use some equipment and kill streaks that are going to complement your playstyle. If you're playing very aggressive, you're going to want to use things like stun grenades, flashbangs, and maybe even a stim. Then for your lethal equipment, you might want to opt for something like a semtex because you could lob it at a piece of cover and take somebody off of that piece of cover. Now if you're playing a little bit more defensive, stims are still useful and so are flashbangs and stuns, but what we're really going to change is our lethal piece of equipment. We're going to change our lethal piece of equipment to something like a proximity mine or a claymore, and the reason I like to use these is because you can place them to watch your back, you can place them to watch a flank, you can place them to help your team maintain map control. I really like to place them around flags, staircases, all this kind of stuff, and you don't even have to sit near them. You can just place them somewhere and just know that it's going to be there, and eventually it's either going to pick you up a kill, damage someone, or it's going to make them have to take time out of their match in order to destroy it. Whatever you decide to opt for, just make sure it complements your playstyle, and the same thing goes for kill streaks. Are you someone who's playing very aggressive? Then obviously UAVs and advanced UAVs are going to help you. Counter UAVs are going to help you if you're not running Ghost, because that way if an enemy calls up a UAV, you might be able to call that thing up and maybe it will survive and not get shot down, and then you'll be able to stay off the radar. Whatever you choose, make sure it complements your playstyle, and for your kill streaks, make sure it is something you are capable of earning. There's a lot of people that might not be able to earn consistent high streaks, but they'll still put on these high streaks because they want to try to earn them, and whenever they do, they feel accomplished. This is great and all, but what you should do is you should run things that you can consistently earn. Reward yourself by running a higher kill streak that maybe you don't earn too often, and then whenever you do get it, that's what you can celebrate with. For example, if you're a 1.1 KD player, you might not want to use VTOL Jet, Chopper Gunner, and Gunship because you're just not going to earn those streaks together in all the time. However, maybe if you run something like a UAV and then you have a precision airstrike, and then you put on a higher streak like an Overwatch Helo, a Chopper Gunner, or a Gunship, well, at least you have a good chance of earning 2 streaks that can help you and your team, and also still have something that can reward you. And then you could try to earn that highest streak in order to really feel rewarded. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one.